This is Best Year Yet, where we turn the science of change into a plan you'll actually follow. Here's today's idea. The cage we carry. It's been a busy, crazy week, and I can't stop thinking about a tiger. Once there was a tigress. She spent almost her whole life in a small city zoo, in a cage barely 12 feet across. Every single day, she would pace the same short path back and forth. The people seemed to like it. So back and forth she trod thousands of times until that path wasn't just something she did, it was who she had become. Then one day, the zoo closed and she was moved to a preserve. Acres of open land, trees, plenty of room to run and hunt. No bars, no walls, nobody staring back at her. And yet, she kept pacing that same 12-foot path. The cage was gone, the pattern stayed. I keep coming back to that story this week, and the longer I sit with it, the more I realize it isn't really about a tiger at all. It's about me, and probably you too. Animal behaviorists actually have a name for what she was doing. They call it stereotypic pacing, a groove worn so deep that when freedom finally shows up, the animal doesn't even see it. And if I'm being honest, we do the very same thing. We just build our cages out of quieter materials. Fear, pain, unhealthy relationships, the same old habits and stories we've told ourselves for so long that somewhere along the way we started mistaking them for immutable facts. And here's how deep that can run. Back in 1967, two psychologists at the University of Pennsylvania, Martin Seligman and Stephen Mayer, ran a study very similar to our story of the tigress. They exposed animals to a mild discomfort they couldn't escape, no matter what they tried. Nothing they did made any difference at all. They were completely powerless to make it go away. And then, a little later, those same animals were placed in a box where getting out was very easy. One small step over a low barrier, and the discomfort would go away. The barrier was low. The way out was right in front of them. It was literally surrounding them. And yet, most of them didn't even try. They just laid down in their discomfort and endured it. Somewhere along the way, they had learned that they were powerless and that and they carried that belief right into a moment when it simply wasn't true anymore. This manifests itself for me in chronic headaches. Lots of doctors, medications, remedies, treatments, and I still feel powerless to control or avoid them. That feeling of powerlessness is dangerous. It is a wide and easy path into apathy. The researchers called it learned helplessness. And if you've ever known exactly what you wanted and still couldn't seem to make yourself begin or seemed powerless to achieve it, then you already understand it from the inside. Now, part of this is just how our brain works. Your brain loves the familiar path because that path is efficient. It burns much less energy repeating what is already known than it does blazing into that brand new trail. Certainty feels safe, and growth, by its very nature, does not. So the moment you step towards something better, it feels uncomfortable and unsafe. And most of us read that discomfort as a sign that we've gone the wrong way. But most of the time, it's actually the opposite. That discomfort is really the feeling of that cage door swinging wide open. And here's the part that's even more nefarious: you don't have to feel miserable to be stuck. Sometimes the most comfortable cage of all is the word fine or even good. You're busy, you're responsible, your life is comfortable, and your social media looks all kinds of successful. And still, quietly, each year ends up looking an awful lot like the one right before it. You keep telling yourself, someday. You make the same plans year after year, and they just slip away behind life. You keep waiting to feel confident or ready before you let yourself start down that narrow path. That isn't a character flaw, it's just a warm and comfortable path. And the good news, honestly, the whole reason I wanted to make this week, is that a different path, a narrow path, is waiting. That path is where Best Year Yet can be your guide, not more motivation, because motivation is a lie. It is a fading, fickle feeling that we've been sold as a requirement to begin. Not somebody else's plan for your life, not some new supplement, not a different podcast. It starts with something quieter and something far more powerful, and that's awareness. Before you can change your life, you have to be willing to see clearly what's been keeping you right where you are. Let me say that again. Before you can change your life, you have to see clearly the cage that you're in. The process starts with better questions. You need to discover what matters most to you now in this season of your life. What belief have you been carrying that's been quietly keeping you small and confined? And then it walks you through the one move that actually breaks the pattern. You name the story that you've been living by out loud, and you choose a truer one on purpose. Not some lie you repeat in the mirror and hope to believe. A better story, chosen deliberately, turned into a plan that genuinely matters. And then small, steady actions, day after day, week after week, month after month. Reflection becomes action. Action becomes momentum. And momentum, given enough time, becomes a completely different life. Not motivation, momentum. So, I gently ask you to think about your own worn path and the dream you quietly set down a while back. Maybe it's that conversation you keep finding good reasons to avoid. The door you've walked past so many times that you've honestly stopped noticing that it's now standing wide open. Because it really is open, and it may have been open for years. The tigress never needed a bigger cage. She needed to discover that she was already free. And so do we. You don't have to sprint through the door. You don't have to feel fearless or ready first. You only have to take the next step. That one small step over a barrier that's a whole lot lower than it looks. And that's how the cage we carry finally opens and disappears. Not through sheer willpower, through awareness, a truer story, and one honest choice repeated consistently over time. You are not the path you've been pacing, and your best year doesn't begin on the day your fear magically disappears. It begins the moment you decide that what matters most is worth more than staying comfortable. Again, I'll repeat myself. It begins the moment you decide that what matters most is worth more than the comfort and safety of the path that you're on. The door is already open. That new, narrow path awaits you. Make this the year you tread the narrow path. If this helped you notice a door that's been open all along or recognize that warm path you've been treading, do three quick things. Give it a like, subscribe so the next idea finds you, and share it with someone who might be carrying their own cage as well. And once again, thanks for listening.